Hi, I'm Sam Fessich from the EduMagic Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey folks, it's the High Tech Podcast. We're here. Music is bringing us in. It's actually a Saturday morning. Josh and I typically always record on Tuesdays. So this is
different.
A little bit different.
There's light. I ate breakfast. It's like a healthy, it's like an adult thing.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I got myself together. We're ready to go. It's the day.
Yeah.
This is not the first thing we've recorded either.
No, we're on top of things. In case you guys all wanted random information about how today has been going for the two of us, that's where we're at. I don't know what you're doing at the moment of listening to this, but I hope you've had breakfast. I don't know.
Yeah, good for you. Welcome.
Welcome.
If you've had your breakfast, if it's 10:30 p.m. at night, welcome to the High Tech Podcast. Thank you for taking the time with us. This is William Illingworth, one of your two hosts. I'm joined by the other voice, which is Joshua Swartz.
That's me. Hello.
We're here for episode 151, which is crazy idea. Wonderful, wonderful. Josh, I'm going to lead us out with a conversational question, but it's actually going to take us right into the topic, which is perfect.
Okay.
Do me a favor. Grab your phone. You don't need to show your phone or anything, but grab your phone.
Okay. This is this is
at the moment. How many notifications do you have?
Just sitting there on my phone.
Yeah, just sitting there. Yeah.
One.
Wow, one. Good for you.
I clear my notifications, man. When I
Okay, I have. I'm feeling a little. I've got 4. I have 4 notifications.
Oh, dang, are they all from Notion?
2 of them are.
2 of them are.
50%, baby.
Don't get me wrong. I had a bunch this morning at 9 a.m. In case anybody wants to know about my life, okay, and this is kind of Will's too, just because of a default.
Right.
So everybody knows we use Notion a lot. If you don't, you haven't been listening to the High Tech Podcast, and you don't know that I have a problem. But Will and I run the podcast in our company through Notion. We do all project management, everything, even budgeting now even happens in there.
Deadlines, collaboration.
But there's a default in Notion when you set remind me. So like in Notion, when you set like a date, you can put a remind me on it, and it will let a notification go. Right. The default in Notion is 9 a.m. And as much as I love Notion, it's kind of annoying to change the time in the reminder because you have to go in and edit they don't have a really easy way.
It's extra steps, right? I just want to hit it. So
9 a.m. is just fine for me for most. So what that usually means is, especially me, definitely Will as well, at 9 a.m. on any given day, if there's a lot of things due coming up in that day and the reminders that day, Notion just it's just constant notifications for a little bit. Because it's a 9 a.m. thing, especially for me, because I've got all my personal life in Notion and the podcast.
Yep.
So my 2 Notions go off like a crazy thing.
Could you guess? Was it 10 notifications this morning at 9?
This morning I had 13 notifications.
13.
And that's on a Saturday, not a work day. So now, granted, there are a couple deadlines coming up in projects Will and I are working on. So there's just a bunch that some of them weren't necessarily for me. They were on a page that I created that was for somebody else on that page.
So you get even more notifications just because you're this owner manager.
Yeah, I get a ton. It's it's a whole thing. So I cleared most of those out this morning when I was looking over stuff. So
so I tend to clear a lot, but I'm also the guy that leaves the notification until the task is done. That's a pro and a con, right? But right now I have one's some texts. The other are 2 Notion tasks I need to follow up on. And then I play a game every day called Ascension, and it's my turn. So I have a notification. It's my turn in Ascension, right? I have to take my turn. So until I take my turn, I leave that notification there. I have to come back to it. I don't want to swipe it and forget. That's what the notification's there for, right? But this idea for this episode to talk about notifications and what they're doing to us actually came to me recently. I've always cared very much about the subject. I hate notifications. Let's start there. I'm just gonna
It's
put it on
also
the
like the
table.
reason people wake up in the morning. Like people are like, I'm really glad the High Tech Podcast is talking about notifications today
Notifications,
because like
so I
it's
can
the hot
sleep.
button topic out in the world, you know?
Oh
Like
yeah,
there's legislation coming out about
it's
notifications. There's, you know,
dwarfing that thing called AI. Like
yeah, it's
AI
like
can't even
AI
stand
is
a
like the
chance.
yesterday's news, you know? It's it's notifications today.
Well, if you'd looked at your notifications this morning, you would have seen the news about
Yeah,
no.
I
I'm
would have known.
joking.
Yeah,
I'm
anyway.
joking.
Sorry, I
A
cut you
friend of
off.
mine, though, no, it's good. A friend of mine was saying recently, a month or so ago, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so stressed at work. I'm just like stressed, 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 stressed." I was like, "Oh, talk to me. Like, what's going on? Good friend. I want to listen." She's talking about all this stuff. There's some things moving and shaking at work, but then she's saying like, "Yeah, I mean, there's just so many emails. There's so many notifications. There's so
Oh
many."
yeah.
I'm like, you can do something about that. I was trying to be like the nice friend, like I'm listening, but I'm also like the notifications. If that's a part of your stress and dealing with notifications in general, it's part of your stress. You can change
Yeah,
that.
you can control them a bit. Let's play another game here real quick that brings up a game to test. Okay, so Will, we both go on vacation. Some more than others. That's not a judgment. That's a I wish I lived Will's life sometimes. Um, but the so like when you come back from vacation, how many notifications do you have on a regular basis? Like, just come back to it.
That's
Now
tough.
you control your notifications a lot, so I do want to note that
Yeah.
Will is what we're about to talk about. Will is a good practicer of this, so
Yeah.
it might be different. I am worse at this sometimes, so the numbers might be different.
I mean, if it's not a task to do, if it's not something I want to do, right? Like I just swipe it, like pass,
Yeah.
or I turn them off. That's a big movement for me. Let's say I take a long weekend, like a Thursday and a Friday into a weekend, or let's Friday and Monday or whatever. So a 4-day weekend, even just that. I'm probably still in the 50s to 60s range. Like over the entire weekend, I'm gonna have that many notifications from text apps, from email apps, from Notion.
It's not my
Josh.
fault. I'm sorry.
Um,
You asked me to do this job.
it's good. Pokemon Go, like there's a couple things that I let give me notifications. My game called Ascension, like I'd say still over a weekend. That's what I'm hitting. Now,
Okay.
you driving towards something, or what do you think?
I was just curious. It made me think of another notification question, which was that like vacation, like because that's what I can feel your friends vibe on that because what really stresses me out when I come back from vacation, I always get like this vibe like the day before I'm about to come back, like what am I coming back into?
Yeah.
And I have some practices for like controlling that a bit, so it's not quite as like nerve wracking. But on vacations, I've done a poor job on that. Without checking anything, I'll come back in on Monday to like
And it's
100.
like,
Like the one time I came into like 120 between 120 to 200 notifications. It was a combination between emails and the project management software my team uses.
no.
Now, granted, I'm a manager, so I get a lot of notifications for stuff that might not be
Right.
directly me, but it's something like a team member is
You
working
still have
on.
to clear them.
Yeah, so like
They're in
anyway,
your inbox.
yeah. So that's what I'll come back to. But the point is, I think what we want to talk about here is like how do you? So we live in a I think we not I think we know we live in a digital world, right? And so I hear this a lot from people like notification stress, how to deal with notifications. But we also kind of want to leverage this to talk about how do you also, as somebody who's notifying people, do it well. Like we've seen this in education, teachers who want to like push out a bunch of notifications to their students, love all the notifications, but like Will and I have sometimes cautioned them against how they use those notifications.
Yep.
For a lot of different reasons. But talking about the stress side of it, I see a lot of people get stressed out, and I was one of these, like the person who like if I get a notification on my phone about something work related, even on off hours, like or during vacation, like it would freak me out a bit. Or like I'm the type of personality, if I know something's going on, I'm not like Will. I can't let the notification sit there on my phone. I have to go like deal with it or figure out how I'm going to deal with it later.
Right.
So I think that's just it's a different way of doing things. Now, I'm curious, well, for yourself, how do you? And we can get into my own idiosyncrasies and problems here in a second. But I'm curious for yourself.
Let's look at yours, Will.
Yeah, no, I'm more just like, how do you control? How do you control this for yourself a bit? Because I know you've gone probably farther down on that road than I did up until the last couple of years. Now you treat notifications a bit differently than me. Like it's just a media caveat. Like
right.
Notifications very rarely for me are there until I do the task. Because I'm the type of person who likes to know about it first and decide if I need to deal with it or not. And so a lot of times I'll click into the notification, and then from there we'll either like decide, I'll set a task real quick, because for me to do that Notion takes like 5 seconds. I'll set a task real quick to follow up with it. I'll bookmark it. You know, the tool that I currently use, project management with my team, Basecamp, has a don't forget feature where you can like open a notification, but then like keep it in kind of like a special place for later.
I like that
type of feature, which is super cool. I use that all the time in Basecamp to kind of just like quick look at a notification, make sure nobody's like, it's not like an emergency or somebody like literally can't do their work that they need to have done tomorrow if I don't respond to them.
Right.
And if it's not the case, then I just let it sit. And I find I stress a lot less when I do that, as opposed to letting the notification sit and not really knowing what's going on.
Right. Well, so let's set 2 categories here for notifications, right? And I'm gonna prioritize the phone. It's in front of me. It's a nice tangible thing to like look at and consider. But like, let's talk about Chick-fil-A, or let's talk about DoorDash, right? Let's talk about Google Drive, right? These are apps that are on your phone. Instagram. These are apps that are on your phone that when you install them are going to ask you, are we allowed to send you notifications? I hit no. Right? That's like I might be insane. I don't know if I'm the healthy one here or not. So I don't want to say that I'm the one here to give good ideas. I'm just telling you, like, if DoorDash goes, can we send you notifications? I say no. Now, when you are getting a delivery, you can go in there and you can prioritize that notification. So that's literally the only thing I get. But like, if in days where I've not turned that on, DoorDash will send you something like every other day, like, hey, do you know that you could get this? Hey, this is a new store. Hey, do you want $15 off? Like, okay, yes, I want that notification. But like Instagram, so-and-so followed you, so-and-so liked somebody else's post, so-and-so, like all this so-and-so stuff of like what's going on. If I want to know that, I go into the app. These are the kinds of notifications. Like the first kind of chunk here of categories is just general white noise. What's the app doing? What is someone else doing on the app? The app's trying to advertise to you or catch your attention with coupons, whatever. Like I turn those off. They're just off. If that's true of like my computer and browsing tools, like when I go to like Lowe's and Home Depot, hey, they ask me right away, can we know your location? No. Because when it does that, so all of a sudden it starts to give you like targeted ads, location-based ads. So that I'm a big no person when it comes to me and the platforms, the tools I'm using. Now, that's the general white noise stuff. And I've looked at somebody's phone, another friend's phone 2 weeks ago. She literally could take it and just go whoosh, like she had that many notifications. Like Mom, I love you. If you listen to this episode, I love you so much, Mom. I love you. You're the best in the world, right? But my mother, I cannot. When she opens her phone and hands it to me, I have a panic attack. There's 1,000 notifications, and it's not even just like it is 100 different apps, but even like her Yahoo app will have 60 notifications under it. I'm not exaggerating. The Yahoo Mail app will have 60 notifications stacked in itself. And I'm like, this is now useless, right? We've lost the power of the notification. So that's the white noise. The other side of it is I get a text message, I get an email, I get a Discord, communications based notifications. I'll lump those together with due dates, right? Notion's giving me a due date. Those are notifications of stuff I want to take action on. I have asked for that information. I want, Josh, please hear me. I want my Notion notifications. I
don't care if you want them or not. You're getting them. Like that's the way it is.
You'll take it if I get it.
And I want to highlight, because we're talking about a lot of different things. I want it for the use of those listening, right? Beyond just hearing what Will and I do and the way Will shuts down everybody on his phone. I think the biggest thing to personal notification management stuff is curation. Like I have so many, like let's get practical here for a hot second. I have coworkers who will not be named, who I love dearly, who probably will hear this if they listen at any point.
I love you.
I'm not talking about you, Robin, if you're listening. Like who like notifications, they'll get like a notification about something, and they'll open it, but then they'll forget to like do something with it. And then like they forget to do that thing, right? And I see a lot of people who do this, who kind of live by the notifications, right? And this is different than what you're doing, which is like you're curating specifically. And I think that's a thing. If you want to live by notifications, you need to curate your notifications specifically. Like if you want to be productive as a student, if you want to know like how many students do I meet, I think when we're trying to help students like figure out how to navigate, for instance, like online courses and what they do, how many students are like, oh, I didn't see that notification, or I didn't do like then you have to curate and figure out what's going to be the best rhythm. Notifications to be leveraged well personally, from a personal productivity to management standpoint, you need to figure out what rhythm you're going to do and then follow that rhythm and curate your notifications around that rhythm. So like Will's thing is very different than my thing. Like I leave a lot of notifications on in some areas. And the big one, like a big one that I'm really intentional about, is the way I handle email. I leave notifications. So I like on an iPhone, you can do this on Android too. You can set it where like it doesn't do the little like number badge notification on your app, but it will put like a a badge up on your phone on your lock screen. So I do that just to know if emails came through, but then like so that I can be aware of like emergency ones or something I want to respond to real quick, or like something that I want to know about, right? Or in general, just kind of know where my inbox is at. But like I don't use that to like make sure I'm checking in on emails. I have a rhythm on a daily basis where every morning I go through my emails. And like, for instance, I might see a notification of an email that I go, actually, I do kind of want to follow up with that at some point. So I flag that email, right? And it goes into my flagged email area. So every morning and every end of the day, I look at my flagged email area and I look through other emails I haven't responded to yet that I need to respond to. And that's how I don't lose emails. And like, I'm not an overconfident person here. I don't lose emails. I don't care who listens to this area. I have had people who said they forgot about my email. Tell me when I said that to you, coworkers or people listening to this podcast. It's been very rare. And there are a lot of things I screw up, but this is one that I do not.
This is one of those that I'm with you. It's so tied into this notification thing, dude. Like when somebody tells me like I didn't see your email, or like this happens at my professional world a lot. We can't send another communication. There's too many emails. What? What? There's too many? Like what is happening to someone's inbox that they cannot now? I've seen people with 10,000 unread emails. I've seen the people who can't don't, and I don't understand it. I got to step away, and I don't want to be judgy. I don't want to be mean. I don't understand how you can have 1,000 unread emails. Like,
but again, it comes down to rhythm. Like you and I have met this, and like I have people who I've either worked with or have done stuff with, or professors I've worked with, and I'm not making this critical, who I think sometimes use the like I'm older excuse to say that like they can't do this. Listen, I've met plenty of like CEOs and heads of companies that are older and they do great with their emails. And it's that they have again a rhythm. This is just a productivity thing in general. Notifications is a part of it. There's a process and a rhythm for processing what comes in and goes out. And that's the big principle I would give to people when it comes to managing your own notifications. If you don't want to be stressed about all the notifications you have, figure out a regular rhythm for one, making sure how you curate and have intentionality to how you get your notifications. Like that's on you. You're not gonna be able to, not every software out there, app out there, coworker out there is gonna follow great principles about giving you notifications. So you're gonna have to curate those for yourself. And that requires messing with settings. Like Will immediately says no from the beginning. I do that for certain types of apps. Other apps I don't, but I'm intentional about what gives me notifications, what doesn't. An opposite thing I would say, my productivity software that isn't Notion, like Basecamp, I don't have any notifications on my phone because I always have a rhythm to going in there and doing that. Right?
You use the app for that. You go to it, you access it for that information.
And I make intentionality now about, I used to be the guy who would get really stressed over the weekend about notifications would come in. I don't look at any like work type notifications, with the exception of like my email will still just kind of pop up in case something like the system blew up and I need to know about it, or something, you know what I mean?
Emergency stuff. Right.
Yeah. But I don't like go in and deal with stuff. Or if I do know I'm going to need to deal with something on Monday, it's like, okay, I'm going to open that up. I'm going to real quick throw a task in for it. knowing it's going to get taken care of on Monday.
And now you can
we're
forget
good.
about it.
I can forget about it. We're done. Like, that's where we move on. And one of the big changes I made in my life is 100% on vacation. All notifications get shut off. And everybody on my team knows this. Like, if there's an absolute emergency, you can text me, but you better be like dying. Like, that better be what's happening. Like, that's like
the college doesn't exist anymore. Whatever it is, it burnt. It burnt down. That's the emergency.
Yeah, it's exactly. So like on vacation, I shut everything off. Now, the one practice I've gotten into doing is the day before I come back from vacation, I will go in and look through my email and my project management software, and I will make a list of things that just needs dealt with in the morning.
Right.
So that I don't come into like notification overload and spend forever dealing with those notifications. And it makes me sleep better at night the last night I'm coming back, because I know I at least kind of have an idea of what I'm about to deal with when I come back in on Monday morning. Like
that takes some strength. Good for you.
That's a practice that I've done for my own mental health. Like that's not everybody should do that, but that's where I think you have to make decisions about what is going to be your rhythm, what's going to be your way of handling things.
And I care about this conversation for those two very points you just made. There's both a productivity question in here. How do I get things done? How do I stay on top of my work? And a mental health, a physical health, an emotional health issue that notifications cause, right? So going back to the friend that instigated this thought more recently for me, she was saying how stressed she was. It was impacting her health. She was not able to emotionally, mentally process the world effectively because she had this extra burden on her from the notifications. First thing I told her to do was turn off the sound, because she said, oh yeah, I'll be sitting there at work and I'll be in the middle of something, ding, and I look over and there's the notification. I'll be sitting there, I'll be doing something where ding, and then she'll look over and I'm like, it's Pavlovian, isn't it? It's literally behaviorism to be trained by the sound of the notification to look at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen to see what the notification is.
Well, that's what they're designed
the
for.
Sound off.
I mean, that's what the sound is designed for. It creates that vibe. I'm the exact same way. I will there's some opposites I have. This is why I'm like weird about this. I get stressed by not knowing. And the knowing doesn't stress me. It's the not knowing that like what am I about to open up to? So like there's certain things I keep notifications off because I go pretty focused. And there are times I know when I'm taking focused energy to work on something, and when I'm doing that, I purposely don't really look at notifications. Or like, and that's why like we're gonna be doing a productivity series a bit later, so I won't get super into this, but this is also why when I time block my day, and I try to leave like 10-15 minutes in between each time block, so that I have some time to just kind of like look over some stuff in between when I'm shifting from work to work, to make sure that there's nothing like that I absolutely need to deal with. That's a different thing, at a different level. But again, it's all about rhythm. It's all about finding out what stresses you the most about notifications. Figure out how to stop that from happening. If you're stressed out by the sound and the all that stuff, turn it off. If you're like me and you're an anal person and you're stressed out by not knowing what's going on, you'd rather at least know what's going on than figure out a system for that.
So there's a both and to what you're saying though, because I think that the sound is very important for the thing you need to know about.
Yes,
right? Like,
that's a good point.
If your inbox is your so we continue to peel the layers back with my friend. Like, so she had the sound on, that was driving her nuts. She gets 100, 200 emails a day. It's just,
that's an immediate problem. It's time to cut some
ridiculous.
people out of your life.
Then she used her inbox as the task tracker, right? So now it's like, I have to go back to the emails, and then she's flagging them and making them red and all these color systems. And like, it's okay. You have a system that's good, but like the layers upon which all of this was stressing her out was like, we can adjust some of these things. You can leave the pop-up notification on, turn off the sound, because literally your psychologically, your body is responding to the sound and elevating the stress hormone. So turn that off. But if you need it on for something, it's like, hey, turn it on when a deadline comes due or something. Turn it on when your lunch, leave it for your lunch notification. So ding, I need to step away from work right now. Like, there's reasons to have it. Absolutely. But if you're getting 200 emails in a day, that ding, that ding, that ding, that ding is just a stress hormone now. It doesn't serve purpose because it's too much. It's a deluge. But like, Josh, if you've got that worked out where your notifications are in place, and I'll just use a couple tools as an example. Like, so it's like, hey, I leave Outlook notification sound on. If I get an email, someone's reaching out to me directly, most cases. So I want to I want to hear that. I've turned Basecamp sounds off, and I turned notification sound, Notion sounds off, right? Like maybe those three. It's like, I want my Outlook to go ding so I hear it. I need to respond to emails. But if it's Notion and Basecamp, you know your rhythms. I'm going to look at that at 10 a.m. I'm going to look at that at 2 p.m. You know your rhythm, so you don't need to be hearing this. It's just an example of how that can be balanced. And, or, if it's in a world where it's like, I get 15 emails a day, I'm dealing with like 2 to 5 Notion notifications a day, I get 30 Basecamp notifications. Okay, you could probably leave the sound on for all of those. Like, that's actually not too much.
Yeah.
But that's also going to change person to person. Like, so it's a big numbers thing. It's do you feel stressed out or not? But for this friend, the other thing we did, so turn the notification sound off. That's great. We left the pop-up. She needs to be able to see it. But then it was, instead of, she also has and uses a project management software. It's like, instead of putting those tasks and leave them in your inbox and making the red angry flag, because these are things she's telling us are stressing her out. I was like, put the task in your task management software.
Yeah.
And then archive the inbox. Like huzzah. Yeah. I texted her. So this was on a weekend. Monday morning, she texted me. She goes, guys, it was like 12 o'clock. She was like, guys, I already feel less stressed, because she turned the notifications off.
Yeah.
I texted her on Thursday. I was like, how you doing? It's like, my whole week has been different. Like these, it's not that you have to do the things I'm suggesting that worked for this friend, but it's like, when you are stressed out by these notifications and it's affecting your mental health, which is going to reduce your productivity, there's a problem. You need to look into this.
Yeah.
Either turn notifications off, change how you get them. I like some softwares that give you digests. Instead of getting a notification every single time something happens, you can get an email at 10 a.m. and an email at 2 p.m. and it gives you a digest of what's happened since. Like those are some helpful tools and practices, but you have to look into each tool you're using to find out if you've got those things available.
It's a common practice. I mean, like LMSs now even do that. Like Canvas will give you can set it up that you can get like a daily or weekly digest of things that have happened. I do that as a professor. I get like a daily digest of what happened in the courses, because I want to know, but I don't need to know everything. The only things I do want to know is if like a student directly makes a comment on an assignment that I graded or something like that, then I want an immediate notification about that. Messages, but I don't need to know every time a student replied to a discussion. Like they should be replying to their discussion. I don't need to know every time. A practical practice, and we're starting to like bleed into a future series we're going to do a little bit. Like there is one takeaway I will give you that you should all do, and you will hear more about it in the coming months when we do a much larger productivity series that is coming. It is planned, scheduled, and things are in motion for it.
Looking at it.
Do not use your darn email as your task management system. If you are a professor listening to this podcast right now, you teach in any way, I am sorry. I know what Will is saying. Do what works for you. Unless that's having your email be your task management software, it's wrong. Don't do it. Okay? I'm sorry. I have so many faculty members I work with who I love dearly. They lose track of things that they have to do because they've meshed their tasks with their emails, and things get lost that way. If you want to ask the number one way that I get things done as a worker and productivity person, is that I never use my email as a task management thing. I use it as a follow-up communication. But if I'm going to follow up with somebody more than during, like it's going to take longer than my morning and late day check-in where I review my email, there is a separate task set for that with a timeline in my own task management software.
Wow.
And that is what keeps me on track with things. And now I'm super anal in my task management software. You don't have to be like me in that space, but don't use your darn email as your task management thing. That's not what it was designed for. And it's not what it should be unless your email has a system for that. There are some systems that have kind of like a separate turn your email into a
task or something.
Yeah, that's I'm cool with that.
But your point there is, like, if you're gonna lose things, this email inbox gets to, now you know where to go to find the thing to do. Like, that goes from my inbox to my task list.
And you've taken an intentional act of processing it. I think for a lot of people, that's just the thing that, in my opinion, the people who do really well at some kind of productivity or like managing all the stuff that they've got to do. And this is not just for Will and I who project manage things and do course development. It's for you listening. If you're a teacher, you've got plenty of different tasks and things to deal with. Instructor, an administrator, whatever that may be, you're listening to this. One of the key pieces that I noticed the difference between those who do really well at this and don't is they stop using their email as a task management thing, and they have some kind of rhythm to processing things. They have a rhythm to looking at something and going, this is what I'm going to do next as a follow-up. And they have a way of holding themselves accountable to that. That's how you don't lose stuff. That's how you don't keep having this thing where you're like, I lost that email from 2 months ago that was super important and I never replied to Josh. I know who you are. I hear you. There's still an email sitting down.
Well, and so like you're saying, like some of this is bleeding into our productivity approach.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far into that, but
that's okay, right? Why we're getting to the productivity side of this conversation though is because there's a relationship of that notification to action. When you hear the ding and the thing comes up and your response is, you know, you take a breath, your stress level increases, whatever. It's like, I have to do something. And that's where, going back to the first two categories, please do yourself a favor and get rid of the white noise notifications. If every single ding that comes to your phone is something to do, then when GameStop sends you a reminder, 15% off next weekend, you still have that same physiological reaction to the ding as you do to the email about, I need to fix a system that broke, right? Like you don't want to let your body be trained to that sound, to the vibrate of your phone, to the little whoop, the little pop down of a notification. You don't want to have the same reaction to both of those types of notifications. If you like those notifications, all the white noise ones, okay, leave them on. Go into your settings and turn off the sound to them. Turn off, like, there's things you can do so that they show up and you can take advantage of them without letting them become white noise in the task-based or the action-based notifications. I get a text message, 9 out of 10 times I want to reply to it, right? Like there's an action I want to take. And
that's why you and I are so different. This is why Will only hits me up on Discord, because I'm horrible at texting back. Text messages are just kind of like, I don't know where I missed the millennial card. I think I've lost my functional millennial card, because man, text messaging for me is just like, I just have no interest in it.
But now, all right, we've been on this episode for 31 minutes. My Discord currently has a 9+ icon on it. That's stressing me out. WhatsApp has 2 sets of texts coming in. I have 2 texts from someone I don't want to reply to. More text in that thread that was at the start of this episode. A calendar reminder about action I need to take, and I still need to take my turn in Ascension. So we're up from 4 notifications to 40 in 30 minutes. And I want to take action on those. Like I need to, the thread on Discord is about my plans for the rest of the day. And I have to be honest and tell you, I want to read it. I'm like, what's going on? I'm going to finish this recording. I'm going to do some editing. What am I doing after that? Like it is drawing energy from me to know that thread with 9+ messages in it has dictation on the rest of my day.
If it makes you feel better, I went from 1 to 8 in the time that we've been talking.
There you go.
One of them is like a Venmo thing that I need to turn off as a notification that probably I don't need because it keeps advertising me something. And I keep forgetting to turn it off. Yeah. One's an Amazon thing that I do actually want. One's a Spotify thing about a concert of a band that I listen to that I like to keep up.
Spotify gives you concert notifications?
Yeah, there's recent announcements about concert notifications now on Spotify when they're around you and they know about it on Spotify. 4 of them are from my Wise auto lock because my wife unlocked it, and I do prefer to be notified every time our door gets unlocked because, intruders.
Live in a city, right?
I live in a city. So 4 of them are from my wife unlocking the door, opening the door, closing the door, locking the door. That's 4 notifications.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay. Anyway. But yeah, no, I would agree. Now, real quick, flip this conversation around for a second because we still didn't get to the other thing we want to talk about is that's controlling your own stuff. But as a professor or teacher or anybody, the other side of this that we see often is like thinking about how you notify your students. The amount of times I hear people teaching or leading something that are frustrated by the people not listening to the notifications, right? And I think one of the biggest things that Will and I always talk about is notifications very easily become white noise, especially when you're sending too many of them and they're not intentional. And I think the way that this happens so often is the second you send, I will give a number. I'm going to say the second you send up to 3 notifications in a short period of time that are all useless to your student, they stop listening to everything else you're sending. Like that's my personal take.
It takes
what, like three,
and now they've ignored all.
Yeah, because now they think everything else you're sending is not that useful. So I think there's a couple things you need to take away. And I've seen this happen. I see it happening right now, right? I see people making communication plans for faculty across all of an area, right? Yeah. And they have planned like 12 emails throughout a semester that go out. I am sorry, like they are not reading all those emails. That number of emails in 8 weeks. I mean, this isn't a full semester; it's an 8-week subterm. That's more than an email every week. That's almost 2 emails every week. Like nobody's reading those. That becomes white noise because people get overwhelmed by the number of notifications to a point that they just stop reading them. It doesn't matter how important the notification is. If they get to the point where Will's friend is, where they're overwhelmed by the notifications, the human reaction is going to be one of two things. One, to like take control of it and learn things, but that's like the productive person. The other side is going to be, this is too much for me to handle. I'm going to start ignoring them. They're going to check out a bit. And that's why I think a lot of times students check out, because our faculty members send too many things. Like they get announcements every other day about things. They get communications about stuff. You've got advisors sending things. The amount of advisors and administrators that I've seen go, can we post this as an announcement at every course in Canvas? Because that's where students see notifications. Like, and them not realizing going to do that is going to literally invalidate that now. Like they won't start looking at those for notifications if you start over posting. Like that's the thing. So I think you have to do a couple things. Be careful about how much you send. Send very intentional stuff. If you need to send a couple notices about a couple things during the week, don't split those out into several different notifications. Get into a rhythm. Again, I think notifications is all about rhythm, both from how you process it to how you send it. Get in a rhythm of, as a professor, going, you know, every Monday, I'm going to send a welcome to the week announcement. I'm going to make sure to highlight a handful of things that they need to know for the week. And that's what I'm going to do, because here's what happens when you only do that. Say something emergency happens second week. I don't know what it is. Your lizard dies from overheating. And it seems like a weird version of things, but I needed to find something that was less serious, but also I don't...
Rip lizard.
Rip lizard. I don't know. You now can't teach class that week or whatever. I don't, like something crazy has happened. When you send that urgent announcement on Wednesday, it is going to pique your students' interest because you don't normally send things on Wednesdays. So that's going to be more urgent. But if you send emails every day, and I swear, if you label them high importance every time, you're immediately ignored. It doesn't matter who you are, what's going on in the class. That's why your students are ignoring you. You're like the boy crying wolf every day through your emails, and nobody cares.
And you're speaking some to the content and the rhythm of it, but like,
yeah.
When you think about, I remember, I'm thinking about Schoology. Like I remember each course in Schoology, the learning management system, they had a little spot for notification to the top right hand side. You could click it, and then you could click off which ones you wanted to be the priority notifications for it. And I had faculty who'd be like, "Oh, wow, yeah, click, 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 click." Like they turned all of them on. And so if a student sneezed in the class, they got an email notification. It's like that's the same thing where it's like, let's target specific items. I would say turn them all off. If you post an announcement, a notification goes out. And if you post a grade, a notification goes out. Like these are things that kids are gonna care about, right? Like, it's not like those are the two best types of notifications. It's like taking the time to intentionally think through, like, oh yeah, I've got 15 notifications. Let's turn them all on. Let's read them and think through the rhythm and cadence I want to create with my learners and turn on the ones that are most effective for them. Right.
Yeah.
Because then the learners still have some control, can always like customize, turn on, turn off too. But it's like, if you are the one making the decision of sending an email every single day, like it's not great. But I would say it's better if you send it every morning at 9 a.m. Like if it's the same thing that's happening at the same time. That is more important than like 10:57, 11 p.m., 9 a.m., 3 p.m. It's
regular
like,
rhythm. I would still argue every day at 9 a.m.
I agree.
I'm sorry, but
once a week, twice a week. Like I think that's the max for talk. Like for these, I'm making an announcement emails like once a week, twice a week at the most. Two is too much. But like, I get it. Some people like, well, once is just not enough. All right. set the rhythm. Then you need to set that expectation. On Mondays, I'm going to give you the lowdown for what the week's doing. On Thursday mornings, I'm sending something that's checking in with you so you can see what's, you know what I mean? Like, boom, boom, that's the build. You now have a rhythm, stick to it. Do not deluge them every day. Do not send 100. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
I would also say understand how your system does notifications. Every learning management system that we're talking now, just straight teachers and experience, but I mean professional development people too. Understand how your learning management system sends notifications, and make sure your students or your learners understand the best way to receive notifications from you, right? So like we kind of assume our students always know, but like different professors do slightly different things. So it's always helpful to let them know how they're going to do stuff. Let them know what stuff to have notifications turned on for. Teach them some of the same stuff that we've been trying to teach here, right? Like how to use daily or weekly summaries, right? What stuff is the most important to look at, where to go, and how you're going to communicate really urgent things they need to know. Make it clear what that communication path is going to be, so a student understands when they get something like this, it is actually urgent. But make sure it is. I swear, if you say you're going to send urgent notifications and your urgent notification method that you use, you explain to them and you use it to tell them about a due date that the LMS is already telling them about, note that there will be a Josh somewhere who will be very sad and unhappy. Like that's just all I'm saying. Okay, like that's not how we do it. And that's how you notifications as the person sending it is kind of a trust and responsibility that I think people don't always get. And so like it's not about like just sending a ton of notifications. That's basically the same as sending nothing at all. It has to be carefully curated and intentional. And when you do that in an intentional rhythm, I think that's how you leverage notifications well. And I think a lot of our app companies could try to learn from that as well, because I think a lot of their stuff they think they're getting to us in a really timely manner is just annoying the crap out of us with more badges on our phones are getting turned off.
I wish, apps and stuff either started with one of two methods, and I'm gonna start with the one that I really wish it did. Just none. No notifications. The notifications are off. Like I just wish, because I say no, so I can, but there's still things like, I think that DoorDash one's a good example. I've said no to DoorDash notifications and it still sends me notifications. So I'm happy because they're about my delivery. That's a good thing. I don't know what I did with my settings to like get that world, because I've turned off the notifications, but I still
you probably turned off promo stuff. Like I can turn off promo notifications, but still leave on my notifications for my stuff.
But if it's not that, if it's not like off by default, I really wish like the first thing you did in an app was set them up. Like a guided tour. Let's get you set up in the app. Like, all right, first things first. How often do you want to be communicated with? Once a day, nonce a day, 3 times a day, once a week? Like I think that's, like you're saying, some trust and responsibility. Like I think that the apps have a play in this. And of course, they want you to get notifications every day because that's advertising. They're keeping themselves at the front of your mind.
Yeah.
That is a little dirty to me, and I really wish we could change that, or I wish we could advocate for better practices. But this is a looming issue for us. It's not something that's just going to go away today.
Yeah.
I hope this has been a good conversation for you, but we'll pivot off of notifications now to a better topic, to a Loom topic.
Loom. That was you had the transition and it fell apart. It just it kind of it just slid through your fingers. That's what happened. It was like yeah.
I was holding a kitten this week, and it was in my hand 6 feet off the ground, and it jumped, and I was like, no.
So Will almost killed a kitten. That's
no, the kitten tried to commit suicide.
Okay, it's careful clarification.
Our app this week,
Loom. Yes, we want to talk about Loom. So we have not talked about Loom in quite a while. Since episode, what do we say, 11? We talked about Loom. Yeah, so Loom's been an app on Will and I's docket of apps that we use a good bit. Will, you used it in a little bit, but I was using a good bit a couple years ago. And then Snagit, which we've talked about on this episode before, my current organization I work for gave me Snagit. So I was using Snagit because there's just a little bit more editing and stuff that I could do with Snagit that I liked, and it was on my computer, and so I dug it. But Loom I've always really loved. I think they have a really good platform for recording video. So real quick, Loom just at its base value has always been a real quick like screen recorder video recording tool, right? So you can, as somebody trying to train people on things, you can record a real quick video on how to do it. I've used it as a professor to record video feedback and post a link in the grades area of my LMS because I don't love the video tool that we have to do that with. So I've ended up using Loom because it's a little bit faster. Loom is in education. They have an education plan and space, so they integrate with stuff as well. If you're interested in that space, we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. But in general, that's kind of the vibe with Loom, right? You can make really quick videos, whether it's just a video of you talking like I'm doing right now, or you want to screen record yourself doing something, you want your camera down, a little circle in the bottom, or you want to annotate, whatever you want to do. Loom can do that type of stuff. They've always been really good at it. So I kind of stopped using Loom for a year or two. And then just the other day, I was pulling Loom back up because I needed a video platform tool, and then Snagit wasn't going to do it for me. So I went back to Loom and realized Loom's added a lot of cool features. So Will and I wanted to bring it back into the conversation because a lot of these video tools have been trying. I know it surprises everybody to figure out how to use AI.
Yep.
They're revolutionaries because nobody else in the tech world's trying to do that. That's for sure. But a lot of these AI uses in tools that I've already been using, other than like Notion and a few others that Will and I have talked about, I'll be honest, are gimmicky to me. They're just a refashioning of what ChatGPT already does, and I usually am not that excited about it, or super pumped about it. But I was really impressed with how Loom was leveraging AI in their tools. So I did a video real quick the other day for actually a client of Will and I's, and I was just recording the video real fast. I needed to show him some stuff. And I go to open the video, and it auto-created chapters in the video for me. It found my content and then based chapter cuts on sections of the topics I was talking about. And to be honest, it was fairly accurate. Like, it did a pretty good job. It found kind of my rhythm and created chapters in the video timeline, which honestly is super helpful because the video was a little longer than I'd like it to be. It was one of those like one-offs, right? Like, Will and I can create good learning development content where you've got smaller chunked out videos, but I was creating a video in a split second for somebody to send through an email to show them how to do it. I didn't have time to use all my practices, go into Camtasia, add chapters. I don't have time for all of that. I just needed to create something real quick. So I was super impressed that Loom did that for me within like seconds. It created this chapter. It also auto-generated a description for the video, which was pretty solid. It auto-generated a title for the video, which was really solid. And it had this option to like suggest follow-up tasks to the watcher through AI, or just that I could do by myself. All that stuff had not been there when I had used Loom 2 years ago. Even just manually being able to go in and put in a follow-up task was not a thing that had existed, at least as far as I knew. So I was really impressed. And that's why I want to bring Loom back up again, because I think whether you're a teacher trying to give video feedback, you're developing learning and development, and you're trying to create a quick video on how to do something, or get a video platform with somebody to create a video real quick on how to do something, to working in business, whatever you're doing, video recording and screen recording is becoming more and more a thing that you need to know how to do, because it's an easy way to communicate something that honestly would take me forever to write out. And that's often the reason I do videos, is because I don't feel like writing out a giant how-to in this email, right? I just want to show them real quick how to do something, link it to them, and they can go ahead and look at it. Right. One of the other things I really love about Loom is it tells me when somebody's clicked on my link, which is also the best thing in the entire world. Because when somebody says, I've watched the video and I got no notification, I can go, you didn't. Please watch the video. Thank you. That's my
Loom tells me, so go check it out.
From another from another team standpoint here real quick. My team doesn't currently use Loom to do this. We use Snagit just because it's the software that we purchased, but it's the same principle. And I know teams who do this with Loom. Like writing standard operating procedures for like teams and stuff that you're working on, whether you're in an academic department and people need to know policies on how to do stuff, or they need to know how to use a tool or something. My team has really gotten into the practice of like, we don't always just build out this extensive how-to right from the beginning. If it's something somebody needs to know, and having it stored somewhere will help other people do their job faster, we use a tool like Loom to record a really fast video, embed that video in our page in our knowledge base, which is in Notion. And then like that's just there. And then we have kind of a rhythm on our team later on about reviewing videos to see if they should get turned into more standard procedures. I wish more institutions would follow this. The amount of documentation, Will, that we've seen that doesn't exist for how to do things, and then you lose a team member or you lose a person from the institution, and everybody forgets how to do it, and you have to start all over again. If we just did this type of stuff more often, that wouldn't happen. Like, and that's why I love these video tools. So real quick, I wanted to Will, do you have any thoughts on Loom? Or
I was just going to point out to I think we'll bookend your little demo with loom.com/education. So for our folks in professional development, learning development, corporate spaces, pay up. It's a good product. It's worth paying for. If you're in education, head over to loom.com/education. It is free. So there's always limitations, but like more than the free trial tool, you can record up to 45 minutes of length. You can password protect videos. You can get calls to action, HD video, drawing tools, and mouse emphasis. Some critical features there. So be ready to head over to there. Josh is about to show us what it looks like to do that, and then we'll make sure we put that up again for you to see.
Yeah. So if you're listening to just audio right now, we're about to present something, so you should probably stop doing that at some point in your high-tech listening
career. Head over to YouTube.
Head over to YouTube. You can check out this section. It's fine if you want to listen to the rest of it on audio, but you should come subscribe on YouTube, and come over here and check that out. But so I'm gonna go ahead and present here just a section of what I've been able to do with Loom before. So let's see here, Loom library, making sure I'm actually sharing the right thing. Okay, perfect. So this is my library. Everybody loves seeing all of my face here. If it all looks very similar videos, that's because these are all from a class that I did, and it was all during the same night when I was grading. So I was wearing the same shirt during the entire time. So I recorded these all really quick from my computer, and I'm able to jump in here. And these are actually videos I recorded before some of these features existed, and it still did it. So it creates kind of like an auto GIF thumbnail for me, and then you can see in here. And actually, let me go ahead and hit play here for a second, and then we can see here it actually created
I'm not
chapters.
Seeing anything being played currently. Did that open to a different window or something?
Oh, thank you. Share this tab instead. Here we go.
Yep, there you go.
It was only sharing the other tab. Okay, so let's go back here. It created this little thumbnail for the video, and then in here you can see these. It created these chapters for the video. I'm gonna go ahead. Let's shut off. Ooh, that is super bright. We'll live with that for a second. Shut off my dark. This is a little bit easier to see.
There they are. Yeah. I can see those chapters now.
So you can see these chapters, right? And apparently I went on way too long in my conclusion, but it's fine. So I recorded this video. And then what's super cool is it created a little summary. It created the chapters down here for the learner. It auto did a transcript as well. It can tell me about views. This person apparently did not view it, which is totally fine. It's cool. That's a different problem. I think this was a video I did during the end assignment for the course, so it wouldn't have surprised me if the student didn't look, but it's fine. You can actually you can filter out unwanted noise. They have a feature in here. Where was it? Was it in edit maybe? Yeah, here we go. They have an AI remove filter words feature, which is pretty cool. So it's a trial right now, but I can actually remove my ums and stuff in the video if I really wanted to, which is pretty awesome, or remove silences. So again, now some of this stuff is with their higher end tool, and it should come in the education part because the education gives you pretty much access to everything. But if you're working in a business or not education, it's $16 a month per person, which is not bad for a tool like this with unlimited video. And you get activity rating here. And then again here, this AI suggested 2 possible tasks, but I can do other stuff. And then people can actually comment and record video replies to my video. So my institution's not using this as a general tool, so that's not going to happen. But if you were using this on a team, you could send videos back and forth to each other through this type of tool as a conversational tool, which I find very helpful when you're doing stuff. But again, the chapters, the description, the title, all of that stuff, I didn't add any of that. That was all just AI generated off of what I did in the video. And so that's what I really like about this, because I think it kind of gives you some professional experience stuff that would take you extra time to do. But for myself, happens so quick. I was able to create this video in the time it took me to talk in the video, let the AI run for a minute or two. It did its thing. I copied the link, threw it to the person. And especially for these less formal videos, I didn't care to have it be absolutely perfect chapters or absolutely perfect transcript. It was just kind of a quick video. And I think in those cases, it's super helpful. So especially in education where it's hard to do that, But accessibility and like watchability with chapters and stuff is such a big thing in our video learning today. Loom, I think, is a super great tool. So go check it out, loom.com/education. You can do that. Or if you're not in education, you can get a free trial and test it out. And the free version, I want to know, all the stuff I just showed you was done with the trial version of AI in the free version. I don't actually pay for Loom. So I can do up to 25 videos in Loom at 5-minute lengths. But if I paid for Loom, I could do much longer videos and have unlimited video. So
got it.
Yeah.
Freemium, maybe check it out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I love it. You know, we zoomed in on Loom. I don't know. There's a joke there, but I'll leave it alone.
It was, it's something. We did something there,
I like that, like with all the features we come to expect in YouTube, chapters, transcripts, close up, blah, blah, blah. Loom builds it from the front end. You can get all of that together when you record the video all in one feature. That's
and again,
awesome.
I recorded that and uploaded it like instantly. It was pretty fast. Now, again, these are short videos. I wouldn't guarantee that's going to happen when you've got a 30-minute
45-minute lecture or something.
And it is also worth noting, you can upload pre-recorded videos. You don't have to just record it through Loom's tool. So you can just like upload a video you made on your computer into Loom. Awesome. So you can kind of use Loom as a video management tool for yourself as well in general, if you wanted to. So like I'll be completely upfront. Like I'm in a space where I'm probably going to lose Snagit at some point here soon. I'm considering possibly down the road that Loom might actually be worth for myself at a personal level just purchasing. Because it's not crazy expensive for what it provides, I think, as a solution. So very cool. Anyway, so that is Loom, that is notifications. Hopefully you learned something, or you're just less stressed out. That would be nice. I don't know, whatever works for you. But this has been notifications and Loom. Next week on the High Tech Podcast, we are talking about whatever we feel like, because we still don't have a topic chosen for the next episode, but it will be so here's the deal, folks.
We're sliding into some things.
We're close enough to say this at this point. So I'm gonna go off script here for a hot second, without any approval, and Will should be cool with it, I think, based on his thumbs up. After episode 152, we're gonna be taking a little bit of a break here for a couple weeks, and we'll be coming back on July 2nd. And be starting season 7 of the High Tech Podcast. And when that season starts, I encourage you to go check out the website, to go check out everywhere you currently know of the High Tech Podcast, because we will be a different podcast. We will be named the High Tech Podcast, and we will still love talking about technology and learning and teaching and all those things, but we're broadening our scope a little bit on the High Tech Podcast. And that's all I'm going to say for now, because we have more information about that coming here in a bit. But that's why things are a little bit loosey-goosey, even more than normal in the High Tech Podcast, because we're kind of building up to this new version of the High Tech Podcast will be launching in July. So you'll be seeing that happen with some exciting stuff and a really cool first series plan. We just kind of alluded to it, a thing on kind of like talking about how do Will and I get the amount of things done that we do. I think there's a lot of things Will and I could do better in our lives, but one thing I think Will and I are pretty good at is being productive and getting things done, and how we do that. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about what we've learned from people over the years and what we're doing, that we hope can help you as you're trying to figure out how to get stuff done in this technology crazy world. So that's a little bit of what's coming on the High Tech Podcast. So anyway, next episode 152, yet to be determined. It'll be an exciting mystery for you next week.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Yeah, we're in the mystery with you. So anyway, as a reminder, check us out on Twitter and YouTube at High Tech Podcast. You can also email us inbox at High Tech Podcast, and check us out at hightechpod.us. All of these are places you want to check out when the new High Tech Podcast launches in July, and you can see all the new fun things and information about what's going on around there. And also email us if you want to get in hold of us. There's a lot of different ways to do that, but email is definitely the best for us. If you're interested in being on the podcast, have a topic you want to talk about, you heard something Will and I said, and you're like, that's wrong. We'd love to know, and we'd love to talk to you about it. Yeah, so hit us up at inbox at hightechpod.us, and we'd love to talk to you about that as well. So this has been another episode of the High Tech Podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week as we continue to learn what it looks like to harness technology in classroom, in life, wherever we are, whether we're getting barraged with notifications or you're like Will and you turn all of them off from the start. Thank you again for helping us figure out what it looks like to harness all that technology when we're online. See ya.
See ya.